My topic is about thyroid ultrasound. I'd like to talk about the latest development of this type of screening. So the objective of the prefectural thyroid screening was said to be relieving the anxiety on the part of the prefectural citizens. But now, there was some criticism about the usage of the term the anxiety. Therefore, this objective has been rewritten right now with early detection and early treatment. So in the first round of the thyroid ultrasound screening, the response we saw among the citizens is that those citizens who are worried about the radiation exposure, they had some discontent with the explanation provided by the government. However, they anyway went to the screening. But some of the people refused to have the examination because they felt that they were treated as a guinea pig. And as for elementary and junior high school kids, the screening was done in school. Therefore, there was enough screening population. However, for high school students, the screening ratio was only 50% because the screening was not done in school. And in the second round, actually the screening was done in school for high school students as well. Therefore, the screening rate went up to 80% with the second round. So as for any screening from the start, informed consent is being taken, and this informed consent document includes a certain expression and sentences. For the first round, the expression used was that we would appreciate if you could take the exam. And the governor of Fukushima and also the director of the Fukushima Prefectural Medical School, these two names were given at the end of the informed consent explanation. And then for the second round, the expression used was, it is recommended to take this exam. And for the third round, the expression used was that this examination could lead to early diagnosis and early treatment. However, because of the nature of the thyroid, many alterations of the thyroid that do not require treatment may be detected. So such negative expression sneaked in. And as for whether to take the exam or not, it's up to you to decide. So it is recommended that kind of explanation has been deleted from the third round onward. So as the authority, of course, they are supposed to recommend such an exam like they did up until the second round. And I think as a Japanese expression, this is quite problematic. What has to be said is that because of the nature of the thyroid, many alterations of the thyroid that do not require treatment may be found. This may cause some concern. However, this exam may lead to early detection, early treatment. Therefore, we continue to recommend this exam. However, if you do not wish to take the exam, of course, you can tick no in your return letter. Since June of this year, as for this kind of thyroid ultrasound exam, there has been some newspaper coverage articles that have been rather negative about such exam. So this is the first such report being made in a newspaper, local newspaper, which says that as for the thyroid ultrasound examination, we need to respect the wish of those people who do not want to take that exam. And also, this article says that a doctor from Fukushima Prefectural Medical University started a class at school in front of kids, and it's because this doctor thought that it was unreasonable that they had to take this exam without knowing the objective of the exam. So once again, what was denied in the first round was once again conjured up in this expression. That's kind of odd. And as for those people who do not want to have diagnosis of cancer, their right not to take the exam should be respected. And it's been 5 years since the nuclear power plant accident. And it is only natural that the people feel concerned about knowing the results of the test. And this expression gives us an impression that it's all over because it's already 5 years. But actually, there is a latency period until the actual cancer happens, and then it actually happens after 6 years. That's been said, however, what this doctor said was quite the opposite. And in response to this, on July 4th, there was another article that was carried by the newspaper, which says that the chairperson of the Fukushima Pediatric Doctors Association had a kind of a dialogue with the Mr. Hoshi, who is the chairperson of the panel of experts. And this article is accessible on the website. However, oddly, only this article cannot be accessed through the website. It's only a paper version that you can read this article. And just to summarize what this pediatric society is saying is that if this exam is a positive thing for kids, I have no reason to deny it. However, there is a possibility that it's actually not the case. That's why Pediatric Society issued this declaration. And this is my personal opinion that somehow this kind of exam has been almost automatically imposed upon those kids. And I think we should start thinking about giving such exam to only those people who wish to do this. And what Dr. Hoshi is saying is that this declaration by the Pediatric Society is a good thing.
And with this as a trigger, so this committee should start right away the discussion on how this ultrasonic examination should continue. And so his response was to put the question on how the survey is being done currently. Now, for this, the family. So there's the family group of the thyroid cancer patients, and so they're asking for continuation and expansion of the ultrasound examination to Fukushima Prefecture government. And so the Association of the Pediatrician of Fukushima Prefecture made a comment last month that so there's the anxiety over health because of the thyroid cancer examination, and therefore partial re-examination, the reconsideration will be necessary. And so now for this, the family group responded that 1 year after the operation, some of the children may have the relapse or the metastasis, and in their request paper, they are asking the prefecture government that thyroid cancer has a slow progression, and so this excess criticism on the excess diagnosis should be researched into about its eligibility. And now so the Society of the Pediatricians has requested the government, the prefecture government, to review the way the survey is done. And for the there's been some changes made for the third round survey, and there was another coverage in the newspaper that led to the prefectural committee on the health survey. And so on the newspaper of August 8th, Dr. Hoshi said that he would like to begin the discussion on the reconsideration of the examination, and yet he proceeded with the meeting, saying that the paper coverage was not correct, and also it did not mention the making the scale smaller for the examination. And so in the material of the committee, there was the mention in the sentences about the review of the agreement paper for the first round, and yet in the second round subject, it said also that the willingness to receive the survey or the examination would be confirmed, and so I find it quite problematic that should the willingness should be confirmed for the second round ultrasonic screening, because this is a cancer examination screening. And considering from the Chernobyl example, from fifth year onwards, there was an acute increase of the pediatric thyroid cancer. So we are now coming into that period. So I think it is very wrong to even consider shrinking the scale of the examination. And many of the committee members questioned this movement. And now, is it correct to think that there's been excess diagnosis? In Korea, the echo diagnosis of the thyroid cancer subjects only adults, and it is not be compared with the Fukushima prefecture case. And so these echo diagnosis only done for the so-called cancer generation and not the children under the age of 18. So it should not be considered the same. And regarding the children of Fukushima prefecture, there are high-risk groups. They should be considered as a high-risk group, even though a majority of them are healthy. And that is a comment by Mr. Shinichi Suzuki, and in one of the lectures to the examiner, such as myself. And Mr. Suzuki made a report on the operation on the August 31st of the 2015, that he discovered 63 patients with more than 10 millimeter in diameter of the out of the 96 patients, and 8 patients had the metastasis identified with the echo diagnosis out of the 33 patients, and of which 22 had the metastasis close to the respiratory tract and also the nerve system, meaning that 93 out of 96 patients were reported to be applicable to the operation, the surgery. And this is not the case of the excess diagnosis, and this is should be considered a success case of early discovery and early treatment. And so there's been announcement since the 11th report in terms of the minimum diameter and the maximum diameter of the tumor. And now this is the comparison of the diameters, and least is the 30 millimeter. At least 8 of them exist. 8 patients with 30 millimeter or over exist. And now the width, even for adults, it is around 15 to 20 millimeters. For children, the thyroid cancer over 30 millimeter, relatively speaking, is fairly large. And for a 9-year-old child, 33. So in this picture, so this arrow shows the lobe, and so even for adults, it would only be 20 millimeters at the most. And so for children, to have more than 30 millimeter lump or the cancer, and in relatively speaking, it is a very large size. And can we really say that this is the innocuous or asymptomatic cancer? And this is from the second time around of the ultrasound examination, and this is quite large, and this will certainly put the pressure, compress the trachea, and now, so there's been an announcement or the report on the second time around, the second round of the examination, and 59 patients were identified, and A1 28 and A2 epithelia 19, and altogether 47 had the thyroid with no problem, and so these are the children which were identified with without any problems. So meaning that cancer was identified after 2 years. So basically, in that case, the examination should be expanded rather than decreased in scale. And also, in the 23rd examination, there was one case of cancer identified in a child who was 5 years old at the time. And with the passage of time, it's likely that there will be more cases identified in the younger generation now that we have now entered into the 6th year of after the accident. Now, there's no so much voice from the prefecture citizens to go against the examination. It is necessary to continue with the examination going forward as well.